first, let's do the 5-number summary. That's the beginning. You'll notice these are in ascending order, so if you prefer descending, you can always, flip it around, but either way really works. If you want to do it just as a single string of numbers and not do the 2 rows, and that works for you better, you can do that. But realize there's multiple ways of doing this: ascending, descending, keep it in a single file. Try the different ones, see how they go. We tried descending yesterday, maybe try ascending today, and just see what makes more sense to you. So I'm going to go with the ascending theme. So I'll put 13, 14, 14, 16, 17, 17, and 20. Move those down on the second half. Okay, I just copied all this right here and I move it down here. Now, if you have an even number of values, everything's going to be matched up perfectly. If you have an odd number, there'll be one more number here, and that's your median. Okay, so 2 possibilities. So first, let's do min and max, straightforward, 2 and 20. And we had something else called the range, which was the max minus the min. This case equals 20 minus 2, which is 18. And we want to look at what that looks like on a graph as well. Okay. Now let's do the median. Median is going to be the other diagonal. What's between 9 and 13? What's the number between 9 and 13? 11. So, and how can you check that? 2 up is 13, 2 down is 9, so that makes it the middle because it's the same distance up and down. If you want a mathematical way of getting the median, let's say these were decimals, like 9.47 and 13.05, you would just find the mean of those 2 numbers, add them together, and divide by 2, the average. So 9 plus 13 is 22, 22 divided by 2 is 11. So that's the way, formula-wise, you would get that answer. But if you can just say, I know 11 is between 9 and 13, that's fine. You don't have to do this. This is only when necessary. Asterisk. Okay. The other 2 values, which were more new, we have Q1 and Q3. Right? Which really, Q1 is just the median of 1/2, the smaller half, and Q3 is just the median of this half. So if we know how to find the median of all the numbers, you're just doing that again just with half the numbers. So remember, Q1 is always less than Q3. Q1 is always less than Q3. Okay? It's always smaller. No matter if you do ascending, descending, doesn't matter. The smaller one's Q1, period. All right, so the median of this first row is going to be Q1 because these are the smaller numbers. What's in the middle of all these numbers? 7. So that's Q1. And what's the median of the second half? 16. Not too bad, right? See how writing it in this 2-row format, it lines everything up. You really cared about the 2 ends and the exact middle. That's why the 2 rows kind of visually organize everything for us. If you don't like that or you don't need that, you don't have to use it, but it is useful when you're first starting out. Okay, now graphically, that's all review. That's what we did yesterday. Now let's graph this. Okay, so watch me first and then go ahead and copy it down. Then we'll try number 2 with the graphing. You can try to graph it out. I want you to watch first. One of the most important parts of this is seeing how many squares do you have. In this case, we have 20 squares all the way across. We have to make sure we can fit all the numbers in those 20 squares. If the numbers like here are like within 1 through 20, we know we just have to count by ones. If the numbers here were like 1 through 40, we'd have to count all these by 2. If these were like 1 through 2,000, we'd be counting by 100s. So what you count by will change depending on what your min is here and what your max is here. You have to look at those two numbers and make sure, well, my smallest number is here, my biggest number is here. I have to make sure those can fit on here. And if those fit on here, I know everything else is in between those two numbers. So in this case, we have 20 squares. We're only going up to 20. So we can really just count by ones and get away with that. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Put down with others. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Did I miscount anywhere?
Yeah.
Oh, I started on 1 instead of 0. That's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's okay. I don't worry about having 0 on here because I don't have any that are 0. So it's okay. So from this point on, let's graph the middle three, the Q1, the median. By the way, the median is the same as Q2. It's the halfway point. So second quarter. Like the end of the second quarter of school is the halfway point of the school year. Same idea. So let's do the median. That's at 11. I'm going to go to, this is 10, so here's 11. And I'm going to take something like this. Now I'm arbitrarily putting this, it could be up here. I'm just making it 4 squares long. It could be 2 squares. That's not important. So the fact that this is a height of 4, irrelevant. You could do 3, you could do 5. It's just how big do you really want it to be. And my Q1 is 7. So 5, 6, 7. I'm going to do the same height, whatever I started with. Continue doing that height. There's 7. I guess it would be worth labeling all these. You don't have to do this on every problem, but I'm going to label them just so we know when you look back. Q3 is 16. So here's 15, here's 16. There's Q3. There we go. Again, this was the median. Will the median always be in the middle? Yeah, by definition, that's what the median is. So if you ever get the median and then Q1 and then Q3, yeah, something's up. Your numbers are out of order, son. Okay. Your min and a max. Those are going to be dots. So here's 2. Put a dot. And 20. Put a dot. Okay. And now just connect it all together. All together. Connect the box. There's your box in the box plot. This is the box. And then just draw a line to the 2 min and max. Sometimes these are called a whisker. Sometimes you hear box and whisker, but box plot includes them. So graphically, here's the thing. If I give you just this information and I gave you just this graph, could you come up with this 5-number summary? If I gave you just the box plot. If you can, then you've done it correctly. Notice how the numbers here are required. If you don't put numbers like a scale, nobody will know what the median is, what Q1 is, what Q3 is. They won't know any information. They might know what the range is. They can tell what the big and small is, how far apart they are, but they don't know what those numbers actually are. Okay, by the way, the range, we did that already. The range, how would I graph that, or how would I show that graphically? By the way, this is the finished product of your box plot. I'm going to put on the range and put on the IQR so you know what they mean visually. The range is going to be all this. From your min to your max, it's 18 squares. It's 18. That's the range. And we did something else called the IQR. Do you remember what that was? Okay, that's the range of the 2 quarters. How far is it from Q1 to Q3? Okay, so 16 minus 7 is 9. And visually, that's right here. This is the IQR. This was the range. You don't need these on every graph. I just want you to know what they look like, what they mean visually. Okay. how much of the data is between quarter one and quarter two? Quarter one and quarter three. How much of the information is in here? How much information is within the interquartile range? Okay. Well, each is a quarter, which is 25%. So 2 quarters would make up 50%. So if we went back and looked at all these values, we would find out half of them are between 7 and 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay, 8 are between 7 and 16. So 50% of all our numbers are between Q1 and Q3, and that's why the interquartile range is 9. 7 plus 9. I took my lower, my Q1, added 9, I get my Q3. That includes all of it. Okay? So that's one problem with a lot of explanations and arrows. Again, you only need to put in this part. Okay? You don't need to write in 50%. You don't need to write in the IQR and the range, but just the Q1, median, Q3, min, and max. Okay? So here we go. Let's try another one, and we'll do it a little bit faster. All right. Now, do you guys want to try this, or you just want to go through it all the way through? Yeah. Some want to try it, some want to go. Okay, if you want to try it, just go ahead and quietly work on it. Otherwise, I'll go through it. Now, would you want to go descending or ascending? What's your preference? Ascending, descending? Ascending, so lowest to greatest. So let's find the lowest. Okay. And then? Okay. 78. Now, how do I know when to start my next row? How many do we have total? 15. So I want 8 and 7. So I'm on my 6th. All right, so 82 then 86. 89. Okay, and that's how many? 7, so one more, which is 89 again. Okay, now new row, 92. It's easier when there's less to choose from. 95. 97. 98. 99. And 100. This organization is crucial. Of course, putting in order as well, but knowing ahead of time, okay, I need 8 on the top, 7 on the bottom, that's important, because if you put too many on the top or too few on the top, it changes everything. All right, and double check, make sure everything is actually in order. Okay, good. Notice how we have an odd number. There's 15 total. That's why we have this one just kind of hanging out there by itself with nothing underneath. If they're all paired up, and this is an odd number, you can't have a pair. So here we go. We got min, Q1, median, Q3, max. Yep. And ready? Min, max. Median. 89. Yeah. So when you have that odd, That's the middle number. We have 7 smaller than 89. We have 7 bigger than 89. That's the exact middle, 89. No calculation needed. That's what's different from number 1. Number 1, we had to take this one and this one because there's an even number. We had to find the middle of the 2 most middle numbers. All right, Q1. So what is the middle of these? Notice how I'm leaving out the 89. What's the middle of these? 80 is the middle. And what's the middle of these? Yep, 97. There's 3 bigger, 3 smaller for each of them. So again, the difference with the Q1 and Q3, if you have an odd number of values, is that we don't include this when we're finding the middle. It's not included in the top row. We don't say, well, let's find the middle of 80 and 82. 89 is the middle of both of these. So we just don't include it when we're doing the quartiles. All right, not too bad. Now we have to look at our range. It goes from 75 to 100. We have to fit 75 to 100. We want to use as many of these squares as possible. We don't want to go like count by, 5s and say 75, 80, 85, 90, 100, 100 and use up like barely any of the graph. We want to use as much of the squares as possible. Make it bigger. And this is the same when we're graphing straight lines. So what can we count by that fits 75 through, doesn't have to be exactly 75, it can be like 70 to 100, or 72 or 74. What would fit across 20 squares pretty easily? What number should we start at? Okay. Anybody want to? And there's different ways of doing this. I'm not going to show you the right way, like you're going to say something like, no, that doesn't work. It's like, well, if it works, it works. Start 70, start 75, doesn't matter. So let's do 70. And then what? Should I go 75, or should I do 2 squares is 75? So definitely different ways of doing this. So I counted by 5 every other square, which is technically counted by 2.5. 2.5, 2.5 is 5, 2.5, 2.5 is 5. And that gets me from 70 to 100. I still have a lot of space left over here, so you want to just try to pick a scale that fits most of the graph, though, as much as possible. So this isn't the right way, yours isn't the wrong way. It's just as long as it fits everything and uses a lot, at least half, if not most all of it. Start with my median, which is 89. So here's 90, 89, I have to estimate. Okay. And here is Q1 is 80. Good. 97 is Q3. So we got, 97 would be, right about there. Okay, so 7. And I have my min is 75. My max is 100. Make your box. There you go. Oh, by the way, you might see a box plot just different places. Instead of a dot on the end, it might just be a little bar. And those are out there as well. They're the same. If you use either one, it's the same. Not right or wrong, just different. All right, that's number 1. Number 2, you guys are going to do 3 and 4. Okay, for homework, you're going to, and 5. And you're going to make sure all the other homeworks since the quiz are all finished, completed, 100% done. And we'll take a look at the homework on Friday, make a packet and all that stuff like we did the first time around. Okay, so just make sure everything is accounted for and completed 100%. Some of the people that you are new, you have to complete every problem. You can't do all of it and say, would I get partial credit? No. You have to do all of it. Okay? Even the hard stuff. No easy way out.